maybe Goongoon can bring this back to a 3-3, and then we'll have our deciding final game. But as the score currently stands, Boneng only needs this last win to take the victory. But we have seen Goongoon, go from 2 points under to 2 points up again. Can he bring it up to 3-3? We'll find out now. But, ladies and gentlemen, for the benefit of the people on YouTube watching the VOD, welcome back, indeed, to game number 5 in Saturday Smackdown for the week 20th of September.
Game number 6.
Game number 6? Yes, it is, of course. It's a best of 7. Both. No, it's game 5.
No, it's game 6. It's 3 games to 2. We're on the 6th map, so I hope it's game 6.
Okay, and then on game 7 it'll be... Oh, yes, so that would be the final game.
Games apiece if we
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin that again. Yeah, I don't know at this point what I'm going to do with the VOD, but we'll just continue here. So, in the south of the map, in the colour blue, here we have Goongoon. And immediately, well, nothing to comment on. He hasn't gone for a market. You wouldn't really expect, I suppose, Sue to do that anyway. Going for an 80 food treasure. He's picked up a Buccaneer. That's a pretty good treasure guardian to get.
Yeah, it does have that 300 or 235 coin treasure in his base, basically, which he'll be able to leverage with his next convert. So
and of
that's
course,
certainly good.
Pirates are so strong. Like, look at that. It's got 360 hit points. Like, the actual unit unconverted has 600. You do lose a large portion of them, but that he's just tanking all of the damage by the looks of it on the Buccaneer. Like, I mean, the only damage the Warcheif has taken is indeed from the other Buccaneers when he was converting it. But now, this is just going to tank all of the treasure guardians.
Yeah, it's going to be really good for him. And it looks like he's working his way back down to the south there, so I would assume he's got his convert coming up soon, and he's probably going to look to take that treasure.
Yeah, maybe... that Buccaneer could just tank the 90 food treasure on his own. The Explorer does his own thing and just comes back and picks it up in his own time. That'd be quite funny. Aztec Explorer now coming in, perhaps going to steal it. No, I do not think he'd be able to get there in time, but actually... that was certainly interesting. The convertibility is very strong, and here he goes for a second Buccaneer. Yeah, 360 hit points worth of just tank. That's wow. Yes, but in the north of the map, ladies and gentlemen, we have Boneng playing as the Aztecs. This map is New England. You should be able to tell from that. But, first thing he's done is, of course, laid down the house and a 5 hit. I do not believe he started with enough wood for a market as well. But if he had an extra 100 wood, we see a market. But only these 2 buildings. Zuta, I'm going to hand it over to you. What do you think?
So the first thing I want to mention, and I mentioned this a long while back. I think it was a game between Kohensky and Philnick or something like that, where Kohensky was playing Sue on this particular map. I'm not a big fan of Sue on this map in general, just because a couple of reasons. One, the attack paths are so predictable just because of the way that the map always spawns with this big feature of water here in the middle for each player, that your only real attack paths
a bit of conflict over here, though. If you look at that Warcheif is getting absolutely gang-piled by these 2 pirates. Really coming into play there. Only actually going to kill the one... Can he convert the treasure back, like that treasure guardian that's on Blue's team? No, I didn't. I've never actually encountered that situation. Taking out the Aztec Explorer, though, that is really nice for Goongoon at this point in the game. That thing is so many hit points, and he doubles the XP of all of the everything in his radius. Like when a building dies.
Coming over for a steal, or what? What's going on here? I think
it's either hurting or he's going to try and steal the treasure. I think
maybe he was trying to do both and realized he was just a bit too late.
Yeah.
But back to the point that I was going to make.
Oh, the Explorer back up! He's going to get knocked over again. Was that Alt D or the Cowhacked BS that makes your Explorer stand back up? Ultimately, I don't know if I like players doing that, but either way, it's going to get knocked over again. It's another 100 XP. Sorry, Zuta. What is going on? I'll let you finish. Go for it.
So Sue... Basically, what I was trying to say is Sue doesn't have really a good attack path on this particular map, and as a result of that, like, the raids become very predictable and can be a bit awkward to actually play the Civ. Especially, it looks like Boneng is going to do like some more crazy aggression. We see Warhunt going down in this very aggressive spot, And I mean, obviously, Su's still going to build a corral, but if you think about where Su actually has to go to successfully raid from the black part of the map, he has to traverse like all the way around the left side of this map and come into this very predictable like kind of top side of Boneng's base, which if I'm Boneng, I know that that's precisely where my opponent's coming, and I probably build like one little wall segment right between the lake and the Huron settlement just to give me vision of where those cav will be coming from, because I can almost guarantee you that when raids do come, they will come in this one little path here. So for the time being, it looks like Goongoon just going with a similar build to we saw him the previous attempt that he played Su. He might actually get these 3 villagers if he spots them.
Yeah.
Ooh, and the mace shipment as well are going to be a little awkward. Everything a little awkward here.
That's not the villagers on the front here could easily go down. The mace halt not so good against cavalry.
A decently placed war hunt, though, however, for Boneng will keep them somewhat safe. And he does get out 3 pumas as well, so it has a little bit of anti-cav there now to start the game off. But...
Okay.
Little awkward.
I would just like to point out that the reason Boneng's Explorer came back to life, he did not Alt-D or any cow hacks BS. He aged up, and that is why it came back to life.
Yeah, I thought that was fairly... I thought people knew that.
Oh,
right. I wouldn't expect Boneng to ever do that. Like, Boneng's like one of the pillars of the Japanese community. He's one of the guys who I think is one of the most straightforward, like, down-to-earth guys that they have on.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's really nice, really willing to actually help out with things as well. I mean, during a lot of the tournaments, Boneng was the key to actually translate. Wow, okay, translating a lot of the English rules into Japanese. Anyway, back into the game here. Sorry, I wasn't. Wow, some Puma Spearmen here on the front. What actually happened with them? I'm completely lost.
Nothing really. I mean, the Cav tried to get a little bit of a raid here on the front-hand side. A couple Pumas popped out. He did transition back towards Boneng's base, which has resulted in him not really getting the best herding. Has made things a little awkward, but I think we're just going to see some shipments start to tick in here from Boneng, and I'm a little curious as to whether or not he can get enough units out to make kind of a timing push here on the Su. I mean, we do have to realize the Su player, right, only has these 7 units out on the map, doesn't have that great of options moving forward. Certainly is going to be very difficult to deal with, say, 10, 15 Puma Spearmen sieging down his stable. It's not going to be very easy for him to deal with. So we'll have to see whether or not Boneng can get to that kind of sweet spot of units where he's got enough to siege down stuff pretty fast, but doesn't expose himself back at home too much at the same time.
That's the problem, really. The playstyle it really leads you into with the units that they have, especially those bow riders that don't have the only ranged cavalry that don't have a negative multiplier versus villagers, is raiding around. He's back in this base here, really going to cause some issues for the villagers collecting resources. And as you say, if you want to be aggressive, you want to pressure the Su, you want your units ultimately in their base doing damage, and if they're not, then you are kind of vulnerable back here. And you can see actually now going to start sieging down this trading post.
Yeah, he's going to get the TP. Did get a good herd finally on those deer, so he does have his deer moving a little bit closer. Also quite fortunate in the fact that his berry bushes and his gold mine have spawned in very favorable positions, meaning that those resources he is able to continually gather at the very least. And it hasn't hurt his mass that much at the end of the day. But he does want to make something happen sooner here rather than later. He doesn't want the cav count to get too out of control here from the Su player.
At this point in the game, Goongoon actually representing a better economy than the Aztec player. I'm not sure if those 3 villages are still alive. Has he been quite successful with his raiding? Has he actually managed to leverage himself a villager lead because of the raiding? I'm not actually sure how many villagers have died. In terms of shipments, though, Aztec player, no shipments have been sent from Boneng, so it must be raiding.
The Aztec player's just been shipping pure military units.
Yeah, he's now going to make his way into his opponent's base here, and I'm thinking that this is he's got a pretty decent mass here. You know, you'd expect him to
this is kind of a
early
do or
on.
die push, though, right? Like, if this gets trapped and killed underneath his town center...
Yeah, he's invested so much into it with these 3 shipments.
The Cav need to come back. There is a strong possibility that the town center could just fall, though, and it could just be game.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is... It's going to be tough, right? I mean, the only units Goongoon has are bow riders. He does have these 3 grizzly bears, which are actually very strong. They've got they're like cavalry that don't have that unit classification, so they're not going to be as weak to the Anyway, you've got the bow riders, which are weak to Mace Halton, and you've got your axe riders. There's only a couple of them there that were a shipment, but they're weak to the Puma Spearmen here.
He's down. His cavalry just got out of position there a little bit. I mean, this is just kind of the weakness of Sue. When the timing push comes, it can be really difficult to deal with. And they just don't have a good ranged infantry option in the second age, and they're just kind of tunneled into only making cav, which is at the end of the day against a lot of these aggressive civs just not going to cut it.
No. And here this fight, I mean, if he can stay away from those pikemen, he might be okay, since bow riders just have so many hit points, and you can focus down the Mace Halton, which actually have fairly low HP. But here, you're just taking so many losses.
Yeah,
all the pikemen
I mean,
down.
this is game. I mean, like, look at what Sue has lost. He's lost his TC down to only 4 bow riders. Can't really raid his way back into this now.
No.
And Boneng's just got so many options for follow-ups, right? I mean, he's shipped military units, which means all of his economic options are still alive. We see 3 warrior priests coming through now. He has shipped 700 wood. Certainly 5 vills, 4 vills. Any sort of TP or water action that he would want to get in on is certainly available at this point. So just so many options. And now that he's forcing the issue back in Blue's base, there's really not going to be that
where are
big
these
of an
villages
option
going
for
to go?
Blue to counter raid or anything like that. So
there are some axe riders coming out, and those Mace Halton are pretty defenseless without any pumas nearby. The villagers, you know, also getting involved, tanking quite a lot of damage, but you know, I think he's okay. He's taken out his opponent's town center, and he still has units on the way. Whereas all of Goongoon's stuff is completely idle, only just getting back to work. So despite killing off those Mace Halton, I think he should be okay.
I mean, he's momentarily down in military count, but it doesn't really matter. He's got, you know, a decent count of warrior priests growing back at home. He still has his forward position with his war hunt. Didn't lose his structure or anything like that. He's kind of running a little bit out of hunt. That's maybe something he should be slightly concerned about, is where is he going to gather food next. There are some axe riders and some bow riders out on the map that he does have to be concerned with. He doesn't really... one maybe a little lapse of judgment there from him is he didn't really go out and secure his next hunt while he was making that push. But it looks like he's just going to try and age up and maybe get some Skull Knights or Big Button Jaguars or maybe even some Eagle Runner Knights, something like that, to kind of just power his way through.
Yeah, definitely. 600 koi now on the floor there. He can quite easily get up to the next stage, and I think at this point he's done enough damage. He's looking okay.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be very difficult. I mean, Goongoon's only got 20 bills. He doesn't have the wood to make a town center. That number's not going to grow anytime soon. As long as Boneng doesn't make a pretty big slip, he's in a pretty commanding spot. It's really down to Goongoon to raid as much as possible, keep the villagers as busy as possible. But I just don't think he's got the economy or anything like that to ever get up enough units to actually pose a serious threat to the Aztec player at this point.
No, you're going up with the warrior, what does that grant you? I'm not actually sure.
The warrior, I think it gives him the noble hunt. I'm pretty sure it gives him the availability to build. I think it gives him a noble's hunt when he ages up.
Yeah, alright. But at this point, yes, Goongoon is using his military to completely idle Boneng. But Boneng, I don't think it's a problem. He will get some units out at some point, especially... Where is his forward building? Yeah, he's got... No, ooh, I don't know, though. I mean, it's certainly not looking very good for Goongoon, right? He has no town center, he's down in terms of villages. But he does have military units on the board right now. He's going to take out this forward war hut, the military production facility here, and... you know, at this point, whilst Boneng should be okay, he perhaps might be in a better situation if he just stayed age 2 and massed units up.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the one piece of criticism that I actually do have about Boneng is I think because he's so tech focused and so age up centric in his play just in general, that sometimes he makes mistakes. I mean, if you consider aging up costs him 2,200 resources and quite a bit of time because he did use Messenger to age up, and if he would have just camped on top of a hunt and secured his hunt instead of doing this more risky age up play, probably would have found himself in a lot better of a position. As a result, now though, he's maybe in a position where he could still lose the game just due to the fact that there's a lot of units out and he doesn't. It's the Skull Knights that he gets.
3 Skull Knights. Oh, okay. They're really good against cavalry, but they're slow moving and likely to get picked off by the bow riders there. I mean, if he stays age 2, like he secures the resources he needs. At this point, he's looking at actually how do I hunt. That's a concern he probably has right now. There's actually some of those 3 villages down in the south of them, and also he lost his forward military production facility, which if he'd stayed age 2, he might have been able to maintain. He does have a good economy though, and he's still got a really good score lead, and he's still quite far ahead, of course, from all the pressure early on, and he should be okay. But he's definitely given Goongoon perhaps an opportunity to get back into the game that he otherwise shouldn't really be having.
Yeah,
he's now obviously adding in these 3 trading sites.
I don't think he should be in this position. Yeah, he should be in a much more dominant position. I mean, like if you look at the map, like look at what Goongoon's established in, getting TPs up. He's retaken the map. He's completely I mean, Goongoon's not even, or Boneng rather, isn't even making villagers because he's just like doesn't have any hunt. Like he needs to secure some hunt, or get on water or something. He's just like kind of sitting in his base and doesn't really have anything going for him. I mean, I'm not even sure what the follow-up is here. I'm not sure what he's trying to go for. I'm not sure what the next step is.
At this point in the game, if Goongoon, like, he's massed up quite a lot of units here, starting to close that score, the gap in the score is closing up a bit, starting to catch up. Got this trading route down, get that upgraded, lots of wood coming in, no time at all to be able to replace his town centre, right? I mean, at the moment, still not making villages and his economy is further behind, but he has been raiding and is actually closing the settler gap as well. And since at this point, Boneng just does not have any hunts, and Blue has such a big presence in terms of cavalry and military there, if he can just stop the villagers collecting the food, even though, I thought he was accidentally going to walk into the Skull Knights.
That was almost bad.
Yeah, my heart dropped there. Those things have 25 multiplied by 3 versus cavalry, area 2, and they absolutely smash everything. It's just like Doppelsuddens, but they have so many more hit points. And
is Boneng going to be forced to resign?
That's a question I'm starting to ask myself. Like, he doesn't have hunt, and even, this fight he's clearly going to lose, right? And even if he won the fight, like, he still can't, like, even if he's okay just sitting in his base, he's not. He just doesn't have hunt.
A couple Urks out now from the shipment, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
No, Eagle Runner Knight's certainly quite good against cavalry, or at least hand cavalry, like, such as Dog Soldiers and the Axe Riders there, but there's just so few units, it's not good enough. And going from what I think was a very strong position to, still being in a strong position, aging, to actually Goongoon not building a town centre, investing to continue in his military production, getting some sort of focus back on the map, some presence, and stopping his opponent from gathering resources. Skull Knight's popping out. That was, if he was not looking there, that could have been catastrophic.
But still, like, for Skull Knight, I don't know, man. This is, if you're in the position where you're in one player who's got no town center, hasn't made villagers for the past several minutes, but has this fairly sizable military advantage and map presence advantage, versus a guy who's actually got some villagers and a fairly decent tech advantage, even has like his maces upgraded, getting out Skull Knights, Urks, stuff like that, but he just can't.
Skull Knight's doing work.
Yeah.
And we see here's some Mace Halton. He's got the elite, so the veterancy equivalent upgrade on them, starting to push him back out. Those warriors there that you get from the fire pit. Some Axe Riders on the warrior priest there. but ultimately not too much of an issue. Yeah, but in terms of villagers, despite his opponent not having a town centre, his opponent has actually sort of been keeping up. Not really. He is far behind in terms. About 7 villages is actually quite a lot, and that is how many he is behind at the moment. But the raiding is actually been fairly effective. I think maybe not in such a dire position, but certainly shouldn't have let the game get into this sort of a state for him. I mean, if he had been pushed off the hunt and he couldn't re-establish, like, the only thing he's collecting food from is the berries. If he had truly been pushed off food, then that is...
I mean, the confusing thing to me was he was at a point where he had an okay army. He had just taken, like, all of his villagers, run up to this hunt that's up here, this gold mine that's up here, and he could have just stood his army and all of his villagers on top of this hunt, and I think he would have been perfectly fine. But instead he, like, I don't know, it's like he just was a little gun-shy, a little too scared, maybe, of the Sioux's presence. I mean, I understand not wanting to get caught out, but at the time, like, the Sioux player had, like, 8 military units. Like, there was really no real threat of getting caught out.
Yeah. And, at this point, actually, his economy and tech advantage starting to come into play here. He has actually managed to claim some food there, and he's looking okay once more. He's got his mass back up.
Yeah. And, I mean, at the same time, Goongoon, I mean, has, like, bettered his position a bit as well, right? He's got stagecoach TPs here in the middle portion of the map, which have been ticking along for him quite nicely for a bit of time. But I think at the end of the day, just this tech advantage, I mean, fighting, with the elite mace versus the unupgraded bow riders, I think is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah. I notice he's doing the Warcheif dance for no reason at the moment. I switched to the warrior dance just now. Perhaps looking to engage here. He's just got to focus down those Skull Knights and make sure the
He's got to engage, right? I mean, his position isn't getting any better. It's not like he's going to be getting more units or anything. And this is going to be game.
It's just so bad to fight Skull Knights up close, and I just don't think he wants to. And that's that warrior. The walking... I can't find the words. His army just getting knocked over.
Yeah.
There it is.
Game.
Whoa, though, for a second there, I thought Boneng had lost.
Goongoon had a chance. I thought there was maybe a chance. Like, I guess though he made the smart play and didn't overcommit. If he would have overcommitted when those Skull Knights popped out, and he would have been in a situation where, like, 4 Skull Knights like caught his whole army underneath the town center, that would have been really bad as well, right? Like, that certainly wouldn't have been good for him. But I don't know. I think maybe both sides just playing a little sloppy. I realize it is getting late at night, and Boneng's playing at, like,
he's had 1 hour.
Who knows what o'clock in the morning, right? It's like, I think it's like 5 a.m. or something for him.
It was like 5 a.m. when we started, so
yeah. So it's like 8 a.m. now. So I mean, certainly a big shout out and thanks to him for even being willing to play, a best of whatever series at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah, I'm very grateful that he came on. We had originally had Blackstar versus Boneng, but unfortunately Blackstar wasn't able to play. Something came up, or something happened. Anyway, the point is, Boneng, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of Saturday Smackdown for the week 20th September, winning himself $25 from Zuta and $25 from myself. Collectively, that is $50. And yeah, well done to the guy. I'd just like to point out one more time that money is coming from us too. It's we have a passion for good games here. It's nothing to do with Microsoft.
That's correct. So before we go, I do have a couple of CD keys. I do try and usually do a giveaway at the end of my stream. And so I only have Age of Empires 2 keys remaining, but I will drop a couple of those in the chat. So I will be giving away 1 Age of Empires 2 key. It's a Steam key, so get your Steam client open, and 1 for the Forgotten Empires, which is the expansion pack to the Steam version of Age of Empires 2. So if you're keen to pick up either of those 2 games, be checking out the chat. Those will be dropped here in just a moment.
Absolutely. And